Tonight on Closer Look, as the U.S. continues to wage a global trade war, worsened exchange rates and ruptured economic ties have provided enough reason for some Torontonians to stay north of the border indefinitely. Toronto Today reporter Alex Flood has been covering the economic impact to tourism in Ontario and joins us tonight from Toronto. Alex, it's no secret that the recent actions by the Trump administration has ruffled some feathers worldwide. Now, that ruffling is going to have a dramatic impact on tourism numbers and, more importantly, tourism dollars there. How staggering are those numbers?
It is pretty staggering when you look at it, Scott. I mean, when other outlets are reporting that the states are, poised to lose $9 billion plus in tourism dollars this year, that's huge. So if we're just looking at the states to start with and not looking so much at Canada, they're looking at taking some pretty big hits. People simply just don't trust going to the States as much as they used to, whether that's for political reasons, whether that's for safety reasons. The trends haven't been amazing for a while, but I think especially in the last 3, 4, 5 months, the trends have just only worsened. People don't know exactly what they're getting anymore when they do go to the States. We've seen some obviously horror stories in the media and the headlines about people being detained in detention centers and whatnot. So, it's a scary time, I think, for a lot of folks who just don't really know what they're getting if they do decide to want to travel there. That goes for Canadians and that goes for anybody else flying in. So the States have a bit of some catching up to do if they want to ensure that their tourism dollars aren't going away and going to maybe perhaps other places like Canada.
All right, Alex. So as the saying goes, when one door closes, another opens. And in this instance, it's opening for the province of Ontario. How are tourism leaders in this province leveraging and taking advantage?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the stereotypes of being just the friendly northern neighbor, I think marketing Ontario and marketing the communities here for them is going to be really, really key over the next few months, really, really honing in on the attractions, the venues, the restaurants, the cultural scenes that we have here. They really, really want to show that off, show that we're unique as Ontarians and that we have our own stuff going on up here that tourists and travelers should be acquainted with, whether they've been here or not. If you're willing to travel as far as the States, then the assumption would be, well, you're probably also willing to travel as far as Canada. So I think for Ontario's tourism group right now, it is that marketing. It's working with different levels of government to ensure that they're still receiving the proper funds that they need in order to get people in, market the cities well, whether it's a community like Sault Ste. Marie of 75,000 or whether it's a city like Toronto of 3 million plus. There's so much opportunity that Ontario tourism sees that more people should be coming in, and they think that, no better time than now. If our closest ally isn't doing so well in tourism, then maybe we can. And I think there's sense in that.
Absolutely. It truly is yours to discover. Okay, Alex, Destination Ontario is reporting that 87% of Ontarians intend to travel within the province. How is the Tourism Industry Association ensuring that momentum translates into sustained economic benefits for smaller, lesser-known communities, so it's more than places like Toronto and Niagara Falls that will reap some of the benefits?
Absolutely. Well, even if we go more west than Sault Ste. Marie, if we're looking at northwestern Ontario and we're looking at communities like Thunder Bay, I mean, they're a border area as well, and they've been working a lot with the border agency there. Lots of hunting, fishing, wildlife. They have beautiful opportunities up there for Americans to travel up north and get those activities in too. So I think depending on where you are in the province is going to dictate how that community markets itself. And when we are looking at smaller towns and smaller areas like that, again, I think people are really honing in on the advantages that they do have, whether it's indoor places like museums, ball games, sporting events. But then when you get out to those more remote areas, it's like, we're hunting, fishing, wildlife districts. So just again, the marketing is such a big thing. And I know the Tourism Ontario group wants Attractions Ontario to be getting more money. So they're advocating on their behalf of the government to get more money. We saw that very, very popular Doug Ford ad campaign in the Super Bowl this past year. they loved it. The Ontario Tourism Group thought it was amazing. They think that it's videos like that, even the power of a video can kind of get that ticker going in the brain, like, oh yeah, I got to get up there. I got to go support. So they think with the marketing, making videos, showing off what a city has to offer, even more than they've already been doing, should continue the momentum and get people from the States, from Europe, from wherever, to come visit Ontario, and they're feeling pretty good about what their 5-year plan is looking like right now.
So no question, Alex, it's great for people to stay within the province of Ontario. But let me ask you, are staycations a concern in terms of oversaturation in high traffic places like Toronto? Is that a concern for the Tourism Association?
The Tourism Association didn't mention if that was a concern. In fact, they were excited by the idea that, 87% of Ontarians are willing to travel around the province this year, which is higher than it was in previous years. So regarding the oversaturation question, I think probably among their least concerns right now. I think they're so concerned about losing American travelers and not having enough international numbers to sustain the numbers that they want to be seeing. It's a $30 billion industry, and they don't want to see that go down. So I think right now the concerns don't necessarily lie with people already in Ontario traveling around Ontario. They're really, really focusing in right now on the international travel. We already have people in Ontario here. A lot of people are well versed in what we do have here. Perhaps maybe some folks in the States and Europe aren't caught up with what we have. So I think a lot of their time and a lot of their energy is going to be devoted to people who actually aren't even in Ontario, because the numbers are already strong for Ontarians. So we'll see if any cities get hit like crazy this summer with more numbers than before, like a Toronto or a Niagara Falls. But until then, I think they just want to see more Americans and Europeans here.
Yeah, and certainly, Alex, if it does happen, it's a good problem to have. Okay, given the Tourism Association's emphasis on the arms open approach, how do they plan to address concerns from Americans who feel a little bit unwelcome here in Canada?
Absolutely. I can't help but think of the "With Arms Wide Open" song by Creed every time I hear the arms open approach. But, it is a bit of a sway away from the elbows up mantra that we've been hearing a lot. And the tourism groups and the advocates there do support the elbows up, but maybe not in terms of how they want to be approaching this from a tourism level. They don't want to be on the defense. They don't want to come across as if they don't want Americans here, or that they're really, really frustrated with Americans. Obviously, the situation is frustrating, but yeah, they want Americans and other travelers to be comfortable here, from what they told me. So again, I think a lot of their marketing is going to be towards the fact that we want you here, despite whatever our country's economies, politics are going on right now. We need you and you need us. Regardless of the headlines and what's happening at the borders, just have your documentation ready is one of their biggest tips. Just be prepared going into it. And know that the benefits hopefully should outweigh any of the noise that's going on right now. And I think if they continue running with that, they feel confident that they should have no problems with Americans coming up here. But we've heard horror stories this way as well. It's not only Canadians having problems going down south, but some Americans have reported that they have trouble getting back into their own country after having however long of a stay in Canada. So it's just those are things obviously most Canadians don't want to be hearing. But I think the mentality that if Canadians are welcoming enough for Americans to be coming here, spending their time here, that it should be an arms open approach. And for Ontario tourism, that they don't want people to be just shoving them away and being mad at them. I mean, they're spending the time and the money here, so welcome them in, accept that. And Ontario Tourism is hoping that mantra continues.
From Toronto tonight, there's Toronto Today reporter Alex Flood on boosting Ontario's tourism numbers. That's all for Closer Look on this Wednesday. We'll be back tomorrow with another edition. For all of us at Village Media, thanks for watching.